Yes, please describe for me what transpired, what you discussed with Johnny and Amber relating to Australia in 2015.
After because they were married in February and they went to Australia in the spring.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a moment, and forgive me, I just want to keep it chronologically there. You described earlier that you were present for the wedding, correct, in February of 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And you also had discussed about Amber wanting Johnny to be sober for the wedding. What, if any, observations did you make about Johnny at the ceremony and with respect to whether he was sober and clean?
You know, I don't actually know whether Johnny was. I don't think Johnny was drinking on the day of their wedding. I really don't actually think he was. Let me rephrase that. Before the ceremony on the day of their wedding. Because I was going back and forth between their respective private preparation quarters where they were getting ready, because I was technically her best man and his son Jack was his best man, but I wasn't one of the girls and felt more comfortable over there with them, but I was helping all the girls. So I was running back and forth on this golf cart I was also taking pictures. I was one of two people who was friends with them that had worked as photographers, so I volunteered to take pictures. So I was very intimately with Johnny and Jack leading up to the wedding, and he wasn't drinking, I don't think. I don't remember seeing him drink.
And then let me ask you this. After the ceremony, as you were walking to the reception, what, if anything, did Johnny Depp say to you about Amber?
As we were walking back from the ceremony, we were coming into Café Los Cabrones, which is where the party was happening, and I was walking with Johnny and congratulating him that they pulled it off and that they did it, and he said, we're married, now I can punch her in the face and nobody can do anything about it.
So I'm going to now turn your direction to Australia, roughly a month later after the wedding. You weren't present in Australia with Amber and Johnny, correct?
That's correct.
I'm showing you what has been marked as exhibit number 3. Do you recognize anybody in this picture?
I do, yeah, myself and Miss Heard. I do, yeah.
Please describe what you see.
I see a number of long, thin cuts.
And what, if any, similarity are those to the ones you just described, having seen after Amber returned from Australia?
Very similar.
All right. And are they the same, or are they different ones?
I would have no way of knowing if they're the same or different ones, but they're similarly long, skinny cuts like the ones that I saw after she came back from Australia.
I'm going to show, Mr. Tillet Wright, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 5. And it's a text message exchange. Do you recognize this text message number here below Arrow's Arc?
That's my old phone number, yes.
Okay, so does this represent the text message exchange between you and Amber Heard on 12/16/2015?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and I'm going to start you at the top with the blue. Do you recognize who is sending that message?
Yeah.
Mr. Tillet Wright, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what has been marked as exhibit number 6. Do you recognize the person in this photo?
Yes, I do.
Please describe what you see in this picture.
I see Amber Heard, and I see an injury to Amber's scalp.
Okay. And what, if anything, do you recall about seeing anything similar to that when you arrived in December 2015 at Amber's penthouse?
I remember this being one of the injuries that I was shown when I arrived at Penthouse 3 at the Eastern Building on December 16th, 2016.
And does this picture that's marked as exhibit number 6 accurately depict what you recall seeing?
I remember this being one of, I think maybe 2 scalp injuries that there were. I remember there was another one as well, but I could be mistaken. I believe there was another one on a different part of her head as well.
Do you recognize the picture that is set forth as exhibit number 7?
Yes, I do.
Please describe for me what is depicted in this picture that you recognize.
This was a picture of Amber's scalp.
And does this accurately depict what you saw when you were shown it, as you testified earlier in December 2015?
Yes, it does.
Mr. Tillet Wright, I'm going to show you what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 8. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
Please describe what's depicted there.
This is Amber Heard's face with a very swollen lip.
And does this accurately depict what you observed when you arrived at Amber Heard's penthouse in December 2015?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as deposition exhibit number 9. Do you recognize this picture?
Yes, I do.
Please describe.
This is the clump of hair that I was shown, I believe, when I arrived at Penthouse 3 on the night of December 16th, 2015.
And does this accurately and genuinely depict the scene that you recall seeing?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Now, what if any plans was there as of December 16, 17 of 2015 for Amber to be spending Christmas with Mr. Depp and his kids? Do you recall?
Taking the pictures down while we talk. Yes, I do recall. There was a plan for Johnny and Amber and Lily Rose and Jack and Raquel and her boyfriend or fiance at the time, Josh, to go to the Bahamas. Oh, and Raquel's mom and Amber's parents to go to the Bahamas and spend Christmas on the island together.
What, if any, conversations did you have with Johnny Depp about the decision?
I don't know that he and I had a direct conversation about it. I'm not sure if he and I had a direct conversation.
So what if any 16, it's a text message exchange dated 2/10/2006.
Between me and Amber Heard about a video that she sent me.
Okay. Now it starts out, hi, Steve left me a voicemail at 5 a.m. And that's from you, correct?
That's correct.
Do you remember what the voicemail message was?
Yeah. Johnny called me at 5 in the morning and left me a voicemail in the character of some kind of management, of like a property manager. And he said something about, yes, hello, this is management, and I don't remember what he said, but it was something to do with like, we have a situation that we need to change out the something, and it was just a lengthy, just off the wall nutbag ramble in the character of management.
Mr. Tillet Wright, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 17, and then Alex, I'm going to ask you to play this.
What happened? What happened? Nothing happened this morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No, that's the thing.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you fucking crazy. That's crazy. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really? Sneak that shit on me, motherfucker?
I didn't. You were smashing shit.
Oh, bye. Ass.
Thank you, Alex. You can take this down now. Mr. Tillet Wright, do you recognize that video?
Yes, I do.
Was that the video that Amber sent to you on the text message exchange on February 10th, 2016?
Yes, it was.
Do you recall watching that video on February 10, 2016?
Yes, I recall watching that video at the time that I received those text messages.
So I'm going to take you to 21 May 2016. What do you recall with respect to a telephone call you received from Amber?
Sure. I was in New York. I was there visiting family. I was in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I was walking down Manhattan Avenue, and I got, I believe, a text message from Amber that said something to the effect of, like, can you talk? And so I called, and I was walking down the street as this happened. She put me on speakerphone, so I was talking to both of them. He just stopped by to pick up some of his stuff, and he has a theory that he either he wants to ask you about, or and I said, okay, sure. And hello, Johnny, like, you know. And he, I think it was he said or she said, Johnny thinks that you and I together defecated on his pillow. I think the words were used were shit on his pillow. So I started laughing, and I was laughing, she was laughing, and when I realized that he was serious, I was like, okay, look, you know, first of all, I wasn't there that day, and so he got very agitated by the fact that she and I thought it was funny, and he started to get more and more agitated, and I could hear him walk away from the phone. He came clomping back down the stairs, and I heard like a noise, and then the phone dropped, and he said to her, oh, you think I hit you? You think I fucking hit you? What if I peel your fucking hair back? And And then I heard the phone drop again, and then I heard her scream. I remember her screaming. And I hung up the phone, and I called Raquel immediately because I know that she lives one door away, and her and her boyfriend Josh, who's a big dude, would be able to get there the fastest. And I called her, texted her right away, and I hung up with her and immediately called 911 in New York. And then I called a friend of mine in LA who I knew had met Amber a number of times, and I think I may have placed a second call to NYPD. Now I'm all frazzled and I don't remember, but I think I called NYPD.
Mr. Waldman made some statements in April and June of 2020 that quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media used fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They've selected some for sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. That was made on April 8, 2020. What, if any, impact did that have on Amber based on your observations?
Amber retreated. Amber became isolated, embattled, extraordinarily distressed.
And then on June 24, 2020, Waldman accused Amber Heard of committing a, quote, abuse hoax against Depp. What were your observations of how this impacted him?
I think that my previous statement encompassed that.
During the time that you were friends with Johnny and you were speaking with him up until you testified December of 2015, what, if anything, did Johnny Depp ever tell you about Amber Heard being physically violent to him?
Nothing ever at any point.
Do you agree with me that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard had many verbal arguments?
Yes, I do.
And you were a witness to a lot of those verbal arguments, correct?
I was a witness to some verbal arguments.
Okay. And did you ever hear Ms. Heard say anything mean to Mr. Depp in those arguments?
Yes.
And did you ever hear Ms. Heard say anything vicious to Mr. Depp in those arguments?
Yes.
So would you agree with me that when they argued, they were mean and vicious to one another in what they said?
I would categorize it very differently, sir.
Well, you testified that you heard Ms. Heard say mean and vicious things to Mr. Depp when they argued, and vice versa. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And although you witnessed arguments, verbal arguments between the two of them, where they exchanged mean and vicious statements, you never saw Mr. Depp assault or beat Ms. Heard on any occasion, correct?
Objection.
No, I never saw either of them physically assault the other one.
Did you ever experience him become violent as a result of or because of smoking cigarettes or joints?
As I've already explained to you probably 8 times, I've never seen Mr. Depp become physically violent with Ms. Heard. So if that's what you're asking me, if he smoked a cigarette and that made him violent, I think you know that that's ridiculous, and the answer is, again, no.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp become violent in any manner on account of him smoking cigarettes or joints?
If you want my honest answer is that Mr. Depp mixed substances constantly, and I keep trying to tell you that. He mixed all kinds of things together when he got crazy and violent. So, and upset and paranoid. So, and I never knew what he had taken.
When you say when he got violent, when did you see him get violent?
I saw Mr. Depp throw glasses and dishware on at least 2 occasions, which I would characterize as physically violent. And do I know if he'd smoked marijuana or cigarettes? Before that, I don't know.
When were those 2 occasions?
Sometime during the time that I was living in Sweetser. And once at the Eastern Building.
And prior to throwing those dishes, did you witness him imbibing any drugs or alcohol?
I couldn't tell you, but seeing as Mr. Depp always was smoking cigarettes and marijuana, my assumption would be yes.
Okay. Do you recall when Ms. Bredehoft showed you a picture of a clump of hair on the floor?
Yes.
When you saw that, that was more than a day after it was allegedly pulled from her head by Mr. Depp. Is that right?
Well, if you want to get technical, my understanding was that their fight happened very late at night, which is technically the morning of the 16th. And I arrived at her house around midnight, the night of the 16th. So technically, it's not more than a day after. It's in the same 24-hour period. So technically, the answer to your question is no.
Okay. So I'm just talking about the hair on the ground that you saw. When you saw it, was it your understanding that it had been there for more than 20 hours?
I have no idea what time their fight started or ended, so I don't know if it was 20 hours or 16 hours or 13 hours. But my understanding, again, was that they had gotten into a fight sometime in the morning of the 16th / late at night on the 15th. I don't know at what point during that fight in which the clump of hair was ripped out of her head, but it happened sometime then and there. So yeah, sure. My understanding was that that clump of hair had not been moved since it was ripped out of her head.
All right. Completes. All right. Who's your next witness?
We have another video deposition, Raquel Pennington.